The next PlayStation exclusive coming over the horizon for PlayStation consoles is indeed only 3 days away. Days Gone releases on Friday of this week, and we have one more topic to cover in our Days Gone overview series. We've gone over the characters of Days Gone, the different types of freakage of Days Gone, the Day 1 patches of Days Gone. However, the one that is really much kind of the soul of the game in a lot of different ways and really is the central point of you in terms of gameplay in a given time when you're playing the game, that is of course the drifter bike. What's going on, guys? It is your boy TKD123 here, and today we're going to go over all that you need to know about the Days Gone drifter bike that you'll be utilizing and using throughout your playthrough of Days Gone. First up here, we have a little backstory about Deacon's history with the bike, as well as how he will be able to have a new bike in the playthrough of Days Gone. So Deacon had ridden motorcycles long before the freaker virus hit, being a member of the motorcycle club. With roads falling into disrepair and off-road being the only option much of the time, Deacon built a new bike that could work on and off-road, keeping some of the elements from his old bike, such as a gas tank that his wife Sarah gave him. Thus birthed the Days Gone drifter bike, which is the custom motorcycle of Deacon St. John. It is the primary mode of transportation as well as a mobile arsenal in Days Gone, which we will go over all of that in this video. And there's actually some lore that's already been revealed that really does show how Deacon lost his bike and how he will be starting at kind of ground one in order to upgrade and keep moving on and keep making his bike once again. While Deacon and Boozer are hunting a man named Leon, Deacon's bike is shot in the fuel pump, rendering it immobile. Deacon hides a bike nearby and heads to a local mechanic station to try and find the parts he needs. Boozer leads many of the freakers away on his bike, leaving Deacon in relative safety to search the area. Finding a fuel pump, Deacon calls Boozer on the radio, only for Boozer to alert him of a Ripper ambush. Deacon runs up the road in the direction Boozer went and finds his friend being tortured by Rippers. Deacon dispatches and the pair use Boozer's bike to evade an incoming horde. Deacon takes Boozer back to their safe house where he can rest before heading out to recover his bike, beating some resistance from martyrs and freakers along the way. Returning to the place he hid his bike, he is enraged to discover it's gone, and realizes that someone from Copeland's camp must have found it and taken it. Spotting someone from Copeland's camp, he gives chase, demanding to know where his bike is. Reaching Copeland's camp, Deacon says he's looking for his bike, and he is told to talk to Manny. Deacon goes to Manny and finds that his bike has already been stripped and parted out. Deacon angrily advances on Manny before he is stopped by the camp's leader, Mark Copeland. Copeland asks Deacon about Leon, and Deacon evades the question. Copeland asks Deacon to do some runs for him, snatching Leon's hat from Deacon, revealing he knows his origin, and then threatens Deacon not to lie to him again. Deacon agrees to do runs for Copeland in order to regain what's left of his bike. Deacon returns to Manny, who apologizes and promises to build Deacon a new bike with the best parts he can in order to apologize. And if you're wondering why all of this sounds familiar, like you've seen it before, that's because we have seen this before. We've seen a large chunk of this story, if not all of it, in terms of gameplay that's been released already. So it was really cool that we have a reference to see the origins of how the bike is lost and how it's stripped down by Manny, and where we're at in that point in the story where we have to go and, you know, find parts and upgrade and do missions to get a better bike and kind of restore the old drifter bike that we once had in the beginning of the game. However, as you play, you will begin to further on and advance your drifter bike, and it is a primary mode of transportation in Days Gone, as we said before. The dangerous in nature of the freaker and bandit infested world, the bike is crucial to survive as it acts as a main mobile base for your inventory and different loadouts that you can manage and have within the bike, which we will talk about in a little bit. The bike also has a finite amount of fuel, as every bike does in the real world, and so you will need to find different areas to get fuel to be able to fulfill that motorcycle's need for fuel and have you not stranded out in the middle of nowhere. The drifter bike is also equipped with nitrous, which will allow it to get to higher speeds, which you can upgrade later on. The bike appears to be completely custom designed, having the body of a chopper style bike but with the suspension and tires of a dirt bike, and so it's kind of like the melding of both. Thus, when Deacon was trying to create his bike, his original drifter bike, he wanted to be a really good off-road and on-road motorcycle to fulfill both sides of that spectrum. The customization of the drifter bike is something that we will go into that a little bit later, but the drifter bike can be extensively customized and upgraded with different parts to improve it in many areas. Available upgrades include paint job, handling, speed boost, toughness, and fuel capacity. We've we've also seen some pretty cool flashbacks from the game that shows that Deacon used to drive a white chopper that he used to ride before the apocalypse, and the prospect of Deacon losing his original motorcycle in the beginning of the game and going throughout the game trying to upgrade and rebuild his former bike is very similar to how the 2015 game Mad Max did their protagonist as well, where he is lost to his Pursuit Special, his original vehicle, and he has to go throughout the game trying to rebuild a new car that is some footprint and lineage of his former vehicle that was lost in the beginning of the game. And of course, as you'll be spending a lot of time on the bike, as it acts as of course your main mode of transportation, your main base of arsenal when you're in combat, creative director of the game John Garvin said he wanted the bike to be fun regardless if you've ever ridden one or not before, and also he wanted to feel skillful even though you've never ridden one before in real life, or if you're just using this as your main focal point of riding a bike. And upgrades to the bike will also be required to access high jumps that are part of areas blown up by the government to stop the horde in the story of Days Gone. So the government blew up some bridges around the world that you'll see. There are apparently some jumps that only can be accessed and jumped successfully if you have some upgrades to your bike, and so make sure to keep on the way for that. I'm assuming that you could jump that jump and then accidentally ruin your bike or kill yourself, etc. Doing side missions and work for encampments allows the player to earn credits and trust to be able to access the ability to purchase better engines and not just upgrades to boost out of sticky situations. And so those are very important. You're definitely going to want to have a speedy bike to be able to get out of those hordes and those unnecessarily sticky situations that you may be running into in Days Gone. Players must also take notes of the land, as if it is muddy or wet, you'll wipe out your bike, cause damage to it, then need to take time to use or find parts in the world to fix it. They called this mantra survival light, where they didn't want everything to be so easy to maintain the bike, but they didn't want it to be something that was overbearing and heavy-handed. And so fuel management is a part of that, where they didn't want it to feel so much of a burden to go out and find fuel consistently, but they did want to introduce a level of stakes that you experience throughout the world and your bike. They also recommend being very thoughtful about your placement of the bike when you leave it to engage in combat. Place it in a way where you can get on it and go immediately and evade the situation if you need to, but be in a place where you can also safely access it if you have a satchel upgrade, so that you can access your bike to access certain ammo and certain equipment and stuff like that that you may have put in your satchel to be able to utilize in the game, so it can act as like that mobile arsenal that we talked about earlier. And of course, a big part of your bike is being able to customize and upgrade your bike, which there are numerous different ways you can customize and upgrade your bike in Days Gone. You can swap headlights, add decals, gas tank to add fuel capacity and durability, but we'll talk about all those in a second. So the first off here is to talk about the performance upgrade categories. The whole menu for upgrading your bike, as far as we are aware, are broken into three different sections. There is the performance upgrade, visual upgrades, and paint options. So the performance upgrade, I believe, are attributes to your bike that you can equip and swap out and attach that will affect the overall performance and gameplay of your bike, as opposed to visual upgrades that do have some crossover in their parts. However, I believe the visual upgrades will only strictly be cosmetic and be for aesthetic purposes and not really have any hankering on the performance, as the performance upgrades are what those are mainly for, I believe. So on the image on screen, you can customize, of course, the engine, exhaust pipes, inventory, fuel tank, body, springs, nitrous, wheels as well, which we will see later on that you can upgrade to add durability. And there could be more different upgrades and different things that launch, but we will have to see on Friday. However, there's also another upgrade that you can do that affects the front springs. I don't know what to call that part, guys. I'm sorry, I'm not a bike person. I don't know a lot about bikes, but I believe you can also change the front springs as well. There's also visual upgrades as well in the whole entire cosmetics and customization of Days Gone. So the visual upgrades, they include changing your headlights, your wheels, exhaust pipes, handlebars, brakes, and this other part over here, which I believe is the top body covering part of the tires. I think that's maybe what it is, but not sure exactly what it is. If you know any better about motorcycles, let me know down below what we think that category could be customizing in the visual upgrades category. And lastly here, of course, the most important part for a lot of people is the paint options for your bike. You can choose glossy, matte, or metallic paint, so you can have it look that specific kind of texture and stuff like that. And in the screenshot, it's currently only selecting the colors for the accent parts, so likely you can color different parts of the bike different colors. Of course, that's what we would be led to assume here, and at least over here in this short trailer, they're showing off the ability to change the accent parts and what that looks like. And so you can also add decals to the bike as well that were only shown on the trailer on the gas tank, but I'm pretty sure that you could probably add them in other places. But if not, I'm sure the gas tank is probably the best place to put a decal if you want to be exposed and shown to other people in game and different screenshots and gameplays that you want to take of Days Gone. So for me, I love the way matte looks, so I'll likely be doing a matte black bike with some blue and yellow accents, as those two are my favorite colors. But let me know what you will be coloring your bike, as well as different upgrades that you'll be doing to your bike as well. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure also, while you are down there, to check out our description where you can find our different links down below. We can find our Discord, our Twitch, our Twitter, all those down below. Make sure to follow us there on PlayStation Source. And I hope you all have also enjoyed our Days Gone overview videos, where you can have a link down below and see all of them. If you've missed any of them, any of our coverage, there will be a link down below to all of our different overview videos involving the characters, the figures, etc., all the good stuff. We all covered it here on PlayStation Source. Thank you for watching, and as always, greatness awaits.